Today, you'll be hearing from Annie Gabier. She's a mom living in the Bay Area that's an experienced journalist that's interviewed people like First Lady Michelle Obama about parenting and healthy living. In this episode, she provides insight into her journey in clean beauty and so much more. Enjoy. Hey beauties, welcome to the Clean Beauty Podcast. Did you know that unlike most everything else in America, cosmetics are not regulated? This means that corporations can use thousands of potentially harmful ingredients that I personally know can cause health problems. I'm your host, Cassandra McClure. I've been in the beauty business for over 10 years as a celebrity makeup artist that advocates for safer and more sustainable cosmetics. Join me each week for important news, exclusive interviews, and more on the clean beauty revolution.
I'm so happy to be here today talking about clean beauty. And I'm the creator of Safe Makeup Project. I was a lifestyle editor at Pop Sugar for about 10 years, and I recommended beauty products to millions of women. And I realized at a certain point that I had a greater responsibility about the things that I was telling women to buy. And I learned about how the FDA really doesn't have any regulatory control over the cosmetics that we're putting on our bodies. And there are studies out there that show that these chemicals get into our system and they can have a big impact on us. So I decided in 2016 to clean up my beauty routine. I did a 90-day experiment for Pop Sugar, and I interviewed someone from the FDA, a scientist from UC Berkeley, someone from the Environmental Working Group, just to kind of get an idea of everything that was out there. And my eyes were really opened. And during those 90 days, I totally switched over to safe makeup. I looked into what kind of products tested, learned about new brands that I never even knew were out there. And my main takeaway was that there's so many awesome products that you don't really have to make a compromise between safe beauty and being a beauty lover. You can still do that. So my whole project of switching to safe makeup really kicked into high gear when I got pregnant in 2017. That's when I decided, okay, this isn't just about experimentation. This is really important. I had a new sense of urgency, and I just swapped out all of my products and also just kept writing about it and researching it. And I decided to launch my own website, my own editorial site called Safe Makeup Project. And I can tell you more about why I decided to do that.
I love it. I didn't realize that you did a 90-day cleanse. What an experience. That's really, really cool. So I feel like for you and I who were on the other side of things, like we, Pop Sugar and having your own makeup brand or working with beauty brands, you get sent a lot of products. So I feel like it's easier for us to make that switch. And you also were given product and given all of that to kind of explore. I feel like for a lot of the listeners, a lot of the women around the world who are just oh my God, I thought it was safe. I thought it was clean, but it has fragrance in it and it has, and they can't just make the switch that quick. And I have so many friends reaching out that are all right, let me just start with a face cream. Let me just start with one thing. So when you did the cleanse with Pop Sugar, did they give you everything, or were you able to pick out what you wanted in particular, or how did that?
So I kind of did the whole thing myself. And that was actually something I sort of put myself in the point of view of the consumer. And I've found that either everything was a greenwashing marketing that I couldn't trust, terms like organic or natural. I mean, organic actually does have some regulatory background, but things like natural or green or those types of terms don't necessarily have regulations to back them up. So I was kind of frustrated, oh, wait, I don't know if I can trust this. I can't just go with what is being marketed as safe. Or it felt like it was just a too much information dump on resources from the Environmental Working Group, the Skin Deep database, which is awesome and has over 70,000 products in there. But, they're all listed in alphabetical order. You don't really have any idea of how good they are. So with my 90-day experiment, I kind of did the research myself. And that was what also prompted me to launch Safe Makeup Project, because I felt like there was a real need to apply an editorial lens to all that information that is out there from EWG and kind of test the products and tell people, okay, like these are the 4 mascaras that are safe and that are actually really great. Or, if you want to shop at the drugstore, like you can maybe feel good about these specific products. And I just felt like the biggest hurdle for me to clean up my beauty routine was the lack of easy to understand information and kind of just those like trusted resources of, okay, I tested this, not just to make sure it was safe, but to make sure that it actually works and is great and will make you feel good about yourself.
Yeah, I don't think that it's by accident that it's so confusing to see a product on the shelf that says natural, 100%, coconut something with a coconut and like a big green leaf on the package. And like, I have friends that screenshot things and send it to me. And I'm like, did you turn it over? Is there fragrance listed? And like 90% of the time there is. And they're so dumbfounded. And I'm like, I've been trying to tell you, this is kind of what I'm talking about. But it's interesting to hear that there are drugstore. You said that there's potentially safer products in drugstores now. I mean, I'm seeing that at Sephora.
Right. And I think CVS has made a big push recently to take out a certain amount of products from their store brands. And, when I got into this, there was a study from UC Berkeley called the Hermosa study. And that looked at thousands of young girls who are teenagers who decided to the researchers had them just look at labels. And like, that was it. They just said, okay, avoid these endocrine disruptor ingredients like parabens or fragrance, things that can impact your, how your body normally functions. And they just armed those girls with a few like ingredients to avoid and said, okay, go about your normal cosmetic life, but just avoid these ingredients. And they found when they did blood tests in like a matter of days of them just avoiding it, these chemical levels left their system. And so that to me was really empowering because it was like, okay, this doesn't have to be that complicated. We can actually have an impact on our health pretty quickly by reading ingredient labels and just getting a little bit more informed. And, it doesn't mean that you have to like totally cut yourself off to everything and live in a bubble. Like you can just be a little bit more discerning and educate yourself. And I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I love that. I thought when there's certain like 5 or 6 ingredients, but then there comes all these other ones that you can't barely read or you haven't heard of, so you're not sure. And that's where it gets me. Like, I have brands that I've loved for years and I still don't know what some things are, even though Beauty Counter has this huge never list and I could look it up. And it's, even with EWG and the Think Dirty apps, I'm still finding that not everything is easy to find, or, maybe some things could be clean, but they could also be dirty, like mica, or mined in a bad place, right? So it's
definitely. And I think once you take it, once you get passionate about it, you can start finding your trusted brands, your trusted resources. I appreciate that retailers like Credo they have their own standards. You can feel pretty good about it. But that's kind of the cool thing about safe makeup and safe beauty is you can keep improving, you can keep taking it to another level and just like really feeling good about it. Just like anything in your health, like it's better to just cut out fast food, but you can also there's so much more potential too for being healthy and eating healthy. So that's kind of why I felt like it was perfect to launch a site, Safe Makeup Project, because there is just so much I wanted to write about and learn about. And I'm hoping to really take like a journalistic approach to it and talk to experts and research like specific ingredients and research things. So yeah, there's just like endless supply of things you can do to clean up your beauty.
Yeah, and I'm so excited for you. So just to give listeners a little bit of background on how we met, I got an email from Annie that was like, hey, I'm in San Francisco. I'm working on this project. It's called Safe Makeup Project. And the first thing I'm thinking is, oh, sustainable project. Like she's doing something great and it's related to makeup. This is even cooler. So I was like, sure, she needed a makeup artist. I was like, yeah. So I brought one of the girls on my team. We went and shot with her and a couple other models went out on the streets of SF, used like all this amazing product from Credo. Shout out to Credo for like basically giving us thousands of dollars worth of makeup to play with for the day. And it was just awesome. And so we really connected. And, there's not I feel like this is a very small little community. And so it's almost like easy to find each other. And so I think it's really great what you're doing. I can't wait to be up on the blog. You guys can look out for that soon. And I'll post a link in the show notes too.
Yeah, I think, as an editor, I kind of think of myself as the reader or the average consumer, but just with a little bit more information. So I want to talk to people like you who do have, the beauty expertise, know how to apply a certain product or get the most out of safe makeup products. And I think that that's kind of my role, is to just be like, put myself in the point of shoes of my readers and try to connect them and inform them with all these great experts out there in the field.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love the synergy and what we can do together and how we collaborated. And I can't wait to do it again.
Yeah, I really also feel like with clean beauty that, like you were saying, the community is small, but everyone is really passionate about it. And it's more of a mission-based industry to be in. And so everyone really wants to help each other and get the word out, because it's more than, just selling makeup or just selling makeup beauty services. It's really about like spreading the word and helping women be healthier and live longer and avoid cancer and avoid reproductive issues. And, like why that has such a bigger calling, I think.
Yeah, I think because there's a lot of direct affected people in this rather than in beauty, and people just want to use pretty products, or they want to make money from being an ambassador or work with a certain brand. It's more like, yeah, my mom, had stage 2 cancer and, she got over it, and I met lipstick angels. Or, I personally had so much acne that I was embarrassed to go outside, and I realized it was the face wash I was using. Or, I had psoriasis, like, or eyesight loss, and it gets worse. Like there's mild conditions and then there's very extreme conditions. Some things that, there's deaths related to some of the bigger brands and lawsuits and all of that. So I feel like all of us that are in this business have gone through something, whether it's traumatic or not, and we realized, and once you know something, you can't unknow it. And so it brings us together in a whole new way and gives us like this power. I feel like if I started a regular podcast, I'd be struggling, even though there's a million makeup brands out there. But with clean beauty, people are just like, oh yeah, get me on next week. And I'm just like, awesome. It's so much better. So I'm so glad.
It's amazing you're giving a platform for it too. I think it's great.
Yes, I know. So let's get into what you're planning on having or showcasing on your blog.
Well, I think I want it to be a place to be like inspired and informed. So I'm doing right now, it's kind of in a beta mode. I've been writing some content and seeing what resonates with everybody out there on the internet. And like you mentioned, we did that photo shoot. So next year, I'm going to have a total, official launch of Safe Makeup Project. And I'm hoping to do more interviews with industry influencers and getting a lot of tips, like answering some questions and just that people might have. So for example, one of my favorite stories is we talked to Joanna Vargas, a celebrity facialist, and she gave us like her DIY 3-ingredient home face mask. So I want to do things like that, like just get people's quick tips. I also want to do more ingredient-based content, not just about like what ingredients to avoid, but I also feel like there's a lot of skincare and things like that are really based around like one ingredient these days. So maybe like vitamin C, or I'm also seeing CBD bounce up, or algae and things like that. So I want to dive into that. I want to do more definitive product tests and roundups. So like the best or safe mascara, and kind of like test through things. I've done that with sunscreen, which was really great. I used a bunch of zinc sunscreens and was like, okay, this is really the best one that will not turn your face white and plays nice with makeup. For me, it was the Derma-E sunscreen. And then, yeah, it's great. And then also just like, answer burning questions that people have, like the order to do your skincare, and just be a source of like for products, but also just to learn about beauty and like how to feel beautiful. Like the biggest thing was when I got pregnant, it felt like a sense of urgency and I didn't know where to start. So, and that's actually one of the stories that's doing really well on Safe Makeup Project right now is like, okay, I'm pregnant. What do I do? Like, what are the steps that I take to make sure, because like people know, okay, I can't drink alcohol, I can't smoke, I can't do, not that you should be smoking anyways, but there's all these things that you can't do when you're pregnant. But one of them is really cleaning up your makeup routine. And so I'd be happy to share some of the tips that I found when I was in that situation.
Yeah, sure. Let's do that. I recently worked a birth and baby fair, and I didn't realize that that's kind of when a lot of women decide to become clean because they want the best for their baby. And it was interesting because I'm like, wow, I've been in the beauty industry all this time and I work primarily with brides, and no bride has ever, a lot of them are like, oh yeah, we're already like trying, or we're going to have a baby in the next year. But like no one ever said, do you have safer products? Do you have this? Like no one's even asked the question. And a lot of feedback I've been getting since I've been more into clean beauty is like, that's a thing, or that exists, or there's a problem with some of the regular makeup. And so even though like I'll go back and read articles from like 2013, 2012 of like people talking about cleaner products or safer products, but like I guess it just hasn't like really been that groundbreaking, because like in all my years of doing beauty and with working with brides or mothers, even maternity shoots, they're 8 months pregnant. I mean, it's never came up. So it's just
that's such a great opportunity for you to be, meeting those women at that point too. Maybe now you can educate them a little bit about that.
Exactly. So I know that they are listening, and we do have a lot of the artists on the team who have come onto my team because of that reason, because they, it's like kind of, how do you stand out? This bride is calling maybe 5 or 10 other artists. And so the first few times that I was able to say, okay, well, we have a safer product package option, and if you're interested, and a lot of them are like, oh, so it has worked, and it has been proven. And so a lot of the girls on my team are like, well, I need a clean kit too. And so now they have options. Some of them are optional artists where they say, do you want to use cleaner products? They might not be as heavy as XYZ brand. But for some photo shoots and things, I mean, it's stage makeup for a reason. I think that there are people out there who feel like they need to wear stage makeup every single day, but really you're only prolonging the detrimental things that are happening to your skin even longer, because when you wear that much product on your skin for that long, I mean, like, your pores are trying to breathe, so they get bigger. There's all kinds of problems that are going to happen from wearing a cakey foundation. Like, it's not sexy. Everyone can see that you're wearing a layer on your face, and it looks bad. I'm sorry, but it does.
Right. And like you said, it's kind of a vicious cycle, because the more you wear it, the more you feel like you need it. And I think that's one of my, like, RMS, I love their products, and I really feel like it lets my skin shine through, and I feel like I want to show off my skin now. I don't want to put all this makeup on because I've sort of dialed down the chemicals that I'm using. I feel like my skin's better.
It is true. I have a couple girls on the team, and this was one of the bigger issues this week, because we do clarity and opportunity calls for our team. And one of the artists was saying, I did a video about it on my Instagram. I even posted it because it really hit me in a place where I was like, I didn't expect it, where she was like, oh no, I'm not using it anymore. Like, it's not working. My skin, I can see my skin, and my skin's red underneath. And I'm like, well, what cleanser and what night cream are you using and stuff? And, of course they weren't clean. So I was like, well, you have to let your skin breathe, and you have to give it, it's like, are you expecting to lose 10 pounds overnight? Because that's an impossible diet. You have to detox your skin like you did. You did it for 90 days. I saw results in my skin within 3 to 4 days. I saw like a dramatic change in the way I was breathing, my allergies, my nose running, like things like that. But for someone with like actual skin irritation, redness, bumps, all of that, it could take a while, especially
Definitely.
doing that to your skin for so long. And like you said, usually if you're going to the doctor and you're actually to get tested for toxic levels of chemicals, it might take a little while for that to all get out of your bloodstream and for you to like, completely switch over. So
Yeah. So anyways, getting like back to the pregnancy thing, like you were saying, people don't know about the risks, but the American College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists, they even more in that exposure to toxic environmental agents, because that's what cosmetics are, right? Are linked to cancer and reproductive issues for the baby later in life. So it's like if you're using these, you could be causing long-term issues for your own child, and they also could lead to like low birth weight or preterm birth and all these different things. So I kind of feel like, yeah, you want to look beautiful like when you're pregnant, but these are like really important things to think about. And so making those switches at that point is like, I don't think could be a better time for it.
wow. Okay, so I didn't know about the low birth weight, and so
Yeah. So there aren't, it's really hard to study pregnant women because they're considered a vulnerable population. So you can't like run experiments on them. But there is evidence that, like toxins, environmental toxins can cause issues like that. So there's things, and also just endocrine disruptors, what we know about them, they kind of interfere with the way your body normally works. They can mimic hormones, which can tell your body to turn something off or turn something on. And so when you're using products that have endocrine disruptors in them, that can just interfere with how your body is supposed to naturally develop. And it's really important at times of development, which include pregnancy or when you're a teenager, that's really when you want to be careful. And then there's also evidence that things like oxybenzone, which is in sunscreen, that like is in, I think there was a study that showed it was in like 90% of breast milk, because it just penetrates the skin so well. And so everybody's wearing sunscreen. And so you can pass it on to your kids. So, it's hard to study exactly what happens, but there are a lot of signs out there that these can have some impact, some negative impacts on the woman's health, but also on the health of the baby.
yeah, even like hearing that, I know how I felt like 6 months ago or a year ago when I heard that for the first time. And it was very overwhelming because I'm like, well, shoot, well, what do I do? What do I use? And I know a lot of listeners probably want like something that they could switch off to right now because everyone uses sunscreen every day. If you're protecting your hands, if you're protecting your face, I mean, there are pictures that I've seen that have scarred me for life where like a truck driver, like half of his face and one of his arms are like, aged 20 years because he, didn't wear sunscreen but one hand and one side of the face is in the truck for all those years. And then one's out and it's like, he didn't wear sunscreen. So wearing it is like so beneficial.
Definitely wear sunscreen. And the cool thing is that there's a ton of alternative, mineral barrier sunscreen out there. And, I was a little frustrated at first because I was like, okay, I want to use the sunscreen. Like I tried Badger, I remember, and I was like, but I feel like a ghost. Like what, this is like literally painting my face and sure, like the sun can't get through. But I think that was why I was really excited when I found the Derma-E one. And I know that there's a few others that people swear by. So I think definitely that's one thing that I felt was like really good investment of time to like get the right sunscreen because you can quickly eliminate those chemicals while still protecting your skin from like very, serious consequences from sun damage.
Yeah, Coats is great. It's a healthier sunscreen too. There are quite a few, and of course the Beauty Counter, they're great, but I think that just because you try one thing, and it doesn't work for you, it doesn't mean that all makeup is like crunchy or hippie or whatever, like all clean makeup. Like there are so many brands, and I guess this week I've been really trying to, let people understand or have them understand that. And, with places like Credo too, like, I'm not going to lie, I've gotten some things from there that I'm like, well, that didn't work for me. And, you take it back and you get something that does work and you don't give up. It's just like a diet. I kind of like that example.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, I think that that's what I'm trying to help with, right? Like, because it's the same with conventional beauty. There's like so many things out there that one thing might make you break out, or one thing might like oxidize weird on your skin, or, so that it's the same concept. As having to experiment with things. I just think when, for me, I was a certain age, I was like in my 30s, and I felt like, okay, I know what makeup I like. Like I have this MAC powder that I just love and feel like I can't live without. And I have a certain, mascara or eyeshadow that I'm obsessed with. And so the idea of like, oh my God, I have to like redo this and I'm not going to find something that's as good was really overwhelming. Especially when it was like, okay, here's 70,000 products in alphabetical order. Like, where do I start with that? With EWG's database. So, that's what I want to do with Safe Makeup Project is like curate for people and say, okay, I've tried these, like this is working for me. This is kind of a filtered out version of what's out there and what's clean. And also, get excited when there's a new product out there that people might want to try.
That's great. Love it. And you have now a 1-year-old, is that right?
Yeah, she turned 1 last month.
And I think another good segue into, being pregnant, but also like thinking about what we typically know, like the big commercials of what people are using on babies. Again, baby shampoo and all of that, like, again, it's not regulated. Like just, even though it's for babies, it doesn't mean that it's regulated anything more than a regular shampoo conditioner. It can still have fragrance. It can still be super toxic. So what do you use? Do you use like a body wash, baby shampoo type?
Yeah, so I use the Mustela fragrance-free, like sensitive one. Mustela, that's an example where it's like, okay, this seems like super safe, but they're not all. Some of them have fragrance and some of them don't. So I use the one that doesn't have fragrance. And then now that she is old enough, I use just almond oil if she ever needs lotion for anything.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, I mean, it's really amazing that products out there for babies are not necessarily regulated, and they have a ton of fragrance. I mean, even diapers out there, like you realize what you think is a baby smell is really just like a diaper fragrance that is overwhelming, and it's not like it's really covering up that much. You can still smell it when you need to change a diaper. So that was really really informative for me. And actually, I had my baby in France. We were living in Paris at the time. And they have a totally different approach to like diaper changing too. They don't use wipes, they use cotton and water. So we went to that. And then they also have this like olive oil based cream that they put on that cleans and also moisturizes. So we are like a baby wipe free family and doing something a little bit different. And it works for us, and it just feels like more natural and good for her.
Yeah, I know that there are I'm in a lot of mom groups and a lot of different things. And I see the most horrible like photos and video of rashes and redness and bumps. And of course they're using the big name brands we all know. And like, I'm always commenting on there, and sometimes it creates wars because people, are defending this brand that they used and their mom used, and all these people, like their whole entire family, but yet a baby, like some babies aren't immune to the fragrance and stuff, and they're really, really sensitive, and they might have a diaper rash or another type of skin condition because of the fragrance or because of the ingredients. And it's just so sad. I mean, the bleach and, some women can't use tampons. That we're going to have a amazing menstrual cup person on because we discovered those. I had a huge issue, people are sensitive in different ways. So
yeah. And I think once you get into this mindset and you realize that, oh wait, the FDA, like, there's a lot of stuff they're not regulating. I even spoke to someone from the FDA and they said, yeah, it's like we only look at things post market, and it's on FDA, not the brand. To like, the burden is on the FDA to prove that it's dangerous. The brand doesn't have to prove that it's not dangerous. So the only way to really get the FDA to react is if there's a bunch of really serious issues that people complain about, and then the FDA will investigate it. And if they find that it's dangerous, then it can be removed from the thing. But there's no there's no proactive regulation of things. And I think that, once you sort of wrap your head around that, you see everything, all your personal care products differently, and just you can't really let it go. Like, it's on you to discover and what is safe, and make those decisions for yourself and for your family.
Yeah, I totally agree. When I started taking my fiance's hair gel and deodorant and stuff, he went a little crazy. But now he's an advocate. He goes to work and someone's wearing cologne. I mean, they have like a no fragrance policy at work now. It's pretty amazing to see because, he was the last person I thought would be influenced. And he, at first he's like, what are you talking about? But now it's like he's in the same boat. He's trying to be sustainable and be clean, and he talks to his mom about it, and he's spreading the word. So it's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I used to wear perfume every day to work, and I just feel so like embarrassed by that now, because I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe I was bringing that to my coworkers every day. And yeah, it's now I smell it and I start coughing.
I know. Even candle stores, like certain, you go to the mall and there's certain areas where you're like, oh, I know what's coming from 10 miles away. Even some clothing stores smell so much, and it's fragrance. And I never used to question, why my eyes were watering and why my nose started running before. But now I'm like, oh, that's what it is. Because your immune system gets worse over time as well, right? As you get older, you can get sicker, and you start to notice things a little bit more. Yeah, it's pretty amazing. Once you kind of, like I said, you can't unknow it. So
I know I have all these expensive scented candles that I used to just love, and now I'm like, okay, and you don't even want to give them to people because you feel bad, but I'm like, all right, what do I do with this?
Yeah, that's the one thing I researched. Maybe we could do something on it, but basically I have about like 40 pounds of makeup, skincare, like everything, bath bombs and shower gels. I don't want to dump it down the drain. I looked up a couple different sites, and because I know it's different for different cities and states, but I don't actually know how to dispose of it, and I don't want to.
That's a great point.
Give it away to other people. I feel the same exact way. Like, I have amazing candles, air fresheners, all kinds of things in my house that I had, and even cleaning products, like the most toxic ones. And I honestly just have a huge bag, and I don't really know what to do with it, and I don't know what's gonna. So I kind of want to do something on that, and give people, like, hey, don't dump this down your drain. I know that you think that it might not make a big difference because it's like a small bottle of something, but it really does affect our environment, and that's kind of the other side of like the root of like why I'm doing this as well, is like the sustainability aspect, and like, protecting the earth and our plants and the fish and like all of that. So
yeah, there's so many reasons to do it, but I think that would make a great story, like what to do with your old stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I read some blogs that were like, oh, you could use it to paint, or like with art, or you could like, and I'm like, oh no, I'm not going to do that. But it's a nice idea that maybe some artist somewhere like abstract wants to do some like crazy toxic makeup art, but
right.
Does anybody reach out to me? I have lots of stuff. But, I actually don't know what to do. And I've read a couple different, government issued sites. They're like, oh, like, take them, dispose of them at a toxic waste center. And I'm like, really? Like, but we can wear this on our faces. Like that makes a lot of sense.
It's amazing how like I used to look at that kind of makeup that I had and just be so like excited about it. And then it goes from being like worth something to like worth nothing in overnight once your brain switches.
It's true. Once you look it up and you're like, that's a 10, like that's that bad. And
it becomes a liability.
$140 for this palette. It's insane.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. So tell me about some of your, like, what are your cult kind of favorite products other than the sunscreen and things like that? But what are your favorites? Because I know you don't wear like a ton of makeup day to day. So are there like skin and what have you done for perfume? I know a lot of my friends, I tell them when I go out for lunch and things, and they're like, oh, you don't wear perfume anymore? I'm like, well, no, there's other alternatives. There's oils and things like that. But I think that's one thing people are like never going to give up. Like, I know some of my friends by the way they smell. So I'd love to know like what your thoughts are on that, or like lotions, and kind of what your favorite beauty.
Yeah. So speaking of smelling, I finally found a deodorant that I love. It's called Crystal deodorant, and it's kind of different. When you get out of the shower, you just put it on right away. Or if your armpits aren't like still wet, you wet the crystal. It's like a rock. And it's a barrier deodorant, so it's not an antiperspirant, but basically it prevents any of the bacteria that causes odor from getting in there and mixing with your natural perspiration. So you might still sweat a little bit, but it's not going to smell at all. And it's like solved my deodorant problem, which is great. I also, like I was saying, I really like to use sweet almond oil for lotion, and I like it because it doesn't have any scent at all. So, one thing I think sometimes you can worry about with some natural products is that they might kind of smell strange. So not only they're not synthetic fragrances, but they might have their own natural fragrance. So that's why I try to go with something that just has like zero fragrance, even natural, just occurring scent. So I'm all about almond oil. I use it for everything. I get it on Amazon, this great sweet almond oil. I'll use it as like a deep hair conditioner. It doesn't make me break out. It has all these like natural vitamins in it. So I'm like really big on that. Then let's see what else. Well, I spent a month in France this year, so I kind of dove into all of their pharmacy products and looked them all up and their ingredients and found some that I really liked. So Chlorane makes a floral water makeup remover that has corn flour in it, and it's cleanser, toner, and eye makeup remover all in one. So like I always feel really great using that. I also like the Avene Thermal Water Spray that, it seems really simple. It's just one of those water spritzes, but I do feel like it calms my skin, which then when I put on my makeup over it, it feels really great. Or sometimes I'll do it if I'm like really tired and I just need want to refresh my skin. I spray it on too. As far as makeup, right now I'm really into the Juice Beauty Flawless Serum Foundation. I feel like it kind of creates a nice silky texture and has pretty good buildable coverage. I have some melasma on my cheeks that you get when you're pregnant, actually, and it's still there. Dark spots from hormones, and I feel like that's kind of my test to see if something works is like, can I make those kind of go away a little bit? And I feel like that Juice Beauty foundation works for that. And then, like I said earlier, I love RMS. So the Buriti Bronzer, even in the winter, like it's very natural and not orange at all. So I use that kind of like if I just want one product, I use that on my eyes and I put a little on my cheeks. And if you have like a lighter complexion, it looks like, oh, you just spent some time in the sun. It's really just nice and natural. And then the luminizers, I really like that. And something I'm putting on my Christmas list is the X Quad that has like 4 of the luminizers from RMS in them. So it has like the classic Living Luminizer, but it also has the Champagne Rosé shade. That is one of my favorites. I know we used that last week and we were both really into it.
Oh my God, it looked so amazing on like literally everyone. I mean, there was a like darker skinned model. It looked great on her. And then I was swatching it and I went to Credo after because I was like, oh my God, I have to see if there's other ones. And I saw the quad as well. So I know what you're talking about. And I think that's awesome. We have to.
Because I love the RMS products because you can really use them like all over your face, and it's just, and like you're saying, different complexions. So I'm really into that. The Lily Lolo mascara, I felt like that finally solved my mascara quest because I felt like I have like blonde eyelashes. So if I don't wear mascara, it's, and they're kind of thin. So I need like something.
I'm in the same boat. I can't, I've been saying Lily Lulu. It's Lily Lola.
Oh, yeah, I think it's Lola. My sister just had a baby Lola. So I'm always like, okay, Lola, Lulu. Yeah, Lily Lola. Lily Lola. So I feel like it works really well. It doesn't make my eyes water. It's great. I've used the Well People one before too, and I feel like that's really good at lengthening them, but it doesn't give me like enough volume. So the Lily Lolo is my go-to right now.
Awesome. Love all of that. We have to do a special link to your blog with all of those products. That's all for our episode today. I wanted to thank Annie for coming on. You're amazing, and I learned a lot. And I know that when someone comes on and it teaches me something, I know everyone else is learning too. So I love you for that. And maybe next year we can come back and recircle and see how the industry has changed since then. But I will be watching your blog, and I'm so glad I got to collaborate on the Safe Makeup project because I believe in what you're doing and I believe it's going to be a huge success. So I'm so happy for you, and thank you so much for providing so much value for our listeners.
Definitely. I'm really excited to hear, all your future episodes and learn from you too, and have you on as, an expert regularly on Safe Makeup Project and learn from you too. So next year in January, we're going to be doing a relaunch. We're going to have a ton of content, a lot of shopping guides, and just more information to help people make the switch to clean beauty.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. And
check out safemakeupproject.com. And you can also find me on Instagram at Annie Gabillet, Gabillet.
And do you have a Facebook or Twitter?
Right now I'm just at my own handles, Annie Gabillet, on all of the platforms. So with part of next year is like a full launch. That's what we're doing the photo shoot for, to get all these great, beautiful assets and, taking photos of my favorite products and all that stuff and my favorite looks. And I'm excited to share that with everybody at Safe Makeup Project.
Awesome. Well, happy 2019, and we'll see you soon.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
All right, so that's it for this week's episode on the Clean Beauty Podcast. Thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to head over to iTunes to review, rate, and subscribe to the channel. Until next week, stay beautiful.